there. We are here with Katherine O'Connell, our lovely Moira Press teacher. We just had a class with her on Saturn and it was phenomenal. So we are happy to have her back next week on June 26th from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's a Wednesday. And the topic is animal stars. So tell us a little bit about this topic, Katherine.
Thanks, and hello, everybody. Great to see you and whoever's watching or listening, right?
Yeah.
First of all, it's great to be back. I you just invited me to do my presentation on Saturn, which was so much fun, and you were there, and that was just an extra delight. And so, yes, love it, love Moira Press on so many levels. It's just wonderful. And yes, animals and astrology. I actually haven't found a book on this.
Wow.
There was a little one on animal signs, just, by Gene Dixon, who I actually knew back in the 60s. And I have that book. I got it on Amazon for like $2, right? Tiny little book, right?
Right.
By the way, I've got a Facebook page called Animal Stars that people might want to see. Dr. Katherine O'Connell, Animal Stars. And so this is about the astrology of our connection with animals, right?
My cat just started meowing.
Yeah, my dog's looking right at me. He's here just about all the time. I'm sure he'll be here for that talk because he's definitely my guide.
Yeah.
And you know, and this is going to be so much fun because I go back into the deep history of the zodiac and animals, right? And to do that, you go back to Plato, right? Plato's dialogues with Timaeus. He talked about the formation of the zodiac, the formation of the universe. And he said, and I don't want to give it all away, but he said the importance of animals way up there.
Wow.
And
You go all the
basically,
way back to Plato?
oh yeah, Plato. Plato is dialogue with Timaeus. Go
Wow.
back there. I know, you being you,
Yeah,
you
in
should
your
take
Saturn
all this
lecture, you went way back to the Babylonians and Mesopotamians. It was fantastic.
That's right. And then, of course, there's quite a bit in the Hebrew tradition about the formation of the zodiac. Most of the time you ask, as you know, I'm an interfaith minister too, so I'm very interested in the deep history of religions and spiritual things, right? And so you ask people about, well, the Bible doesn't like astrology too much. However, there's a lot beyond the written material in the Hebrew tradition. There's the Midrash, which is the dialogues and the debates between and among rabbis. And there's a lot else that's written that's not canonical.
Wow.
And there's stuff, and I go into some of that, there's stuff about animals and the importance of animals.
Wow.
So that's very interesting. And then, of course, the whole zodiac, almost the whole zodiac is animals. There's a couple of people in there, but
Right.
there's a couple of people animal combos. But why is this? So we're going to explore some of that. And then we're going to explore what the heck happened. Like, for instance, in the discipline of psychology, Freud in animals. We're going to talk about Freud in animals and Jung in animals. And we're going to talk about how did animals and their wisdom get so downgraded? I'm going to go into the history of that a bit. And the astrology of it, what was going on in mundane astrology that had to do with that.
Hmm.
How and why have we opened up? How has the astrology, the mundane astrology, opened us up more? And I've got a couple of interesting charts. I'm going to talk about Saturn again, because Saturn is very important in this.
Wow.
Right. I'm going to talk about some of the, and I'm not even going to name names right now. I want you to guess, some of the foundational names in psychology that began to question some of this and why, right? And some of the foundational names in social psychology that began to question our treatment of animals and how we treat animals and question it in print and question it in the literature, question it in the research, right? And how and why that's changing so rapidly in sociobiology now and the study of animals, and how it's having a wonderful effect on us and our consciousness. You remember the 100th monkey, right? You get an idea, and enough people receive the idea, it begins to jump into the whole populace, right?
Hmm.
And Sheldrake and all of that talked about that. We're going to talk a little bit about that and his chart and why he. And then we're going to talk about where we're going. I'm going to make some fun predictions. And I'm going to show you some fun charts. People and animals. I showed you one already. Remember Denise and Ruru, her dog?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's going to come up again. That cute picture with Denise at UC San Francisco, with her dog in her bed while she's getting her infusions for her migraines, for her long haulers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What a dog, Ruru, what a dog. So we're going to go into these connections. And people, well, how can you do that? Because, we don't most of the time know the time of the animal's birth. Of course, with my dog, I do happen to know the time. I'm lucky. But you know what? We call that what? Event charts.
Yeah. I really wanted to get a hamster with a birth time, but it's been quite difficult. I'm serious. I had a hamster named Starlight, and I really wanted to get a hamster with a birth time. But I think having an animal with a birth time would be awesome for an astrologer.
It is awesome. I have that. And
Mm.
I'll tell you the story. I don't want to give that away. It's just too good to give it away. But the story of Tinkerbell is just too good. And I've got Tinkerbell's chart and my chart in there. I've got Denise's and Rua's chart and several other charts too. Now, people would say, well, how can you do a chart if you don't know the time? Well, we have things called electional charts. We have things called horary charts, right? I always do the chart of the moment. Yesterday, before our talk together, I did the chart. What's the energy like of this moment, right? Then
Mhm.
I'll do the chart again before our get together, on the 26th. As a matter of fact, I think I'll show it this time. Because that's part of how, before I do any reading, I do the chart of the moment.
Mhm.
And that says so much about the reading and what the person wants to know, whether they know that they want to know it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, animals have chakras. There's pictures of animals with the chakras, and so they absolutely have charts.
they do. They do. And they do a lot of healing, particularly dogs and cats, animals with tails. The tail is very much like an antenna, right? You notice I do a lot of Reiki with animals, some in person, but a lot distance. That's my specialty in healing, is remote or long distance healing. And when they're kind of working on it, you could see it.
Wow.
And then it stops. That means, oh, they've had enough. They don't need it. And it might be 3 minutes. They don't need as long as we do.
Wow.
And then because they're not as caught up in their heads, right? And then it stops and they're like, okay, now I'm gonna go play. Right?
Wow.
Right? It's
Interesting.
great. So the chart of the meeting, let's say you go look at a dog at a shelter or a cat or a shelter or something, and make a note of that moment, because that might be the moment, if you decide to take that cat home,
Hmm.
take a look at that chart. Very, very important. It's just like, you've done couples work, I'm sure, with astrology. So if I loved to get an idea of when they met,
Hmm.
I do a chart for their meeting.
Hmm.
Right? Same thing with friends or animals or anything. There's an energetic imprint of the meeting. So fun to look at. And it says so much about the relationship.
This is so interesting. I just realized it's going to be a week of animals at the school because this Thursday we have an animals talk with Jennifer Ng, and she's talking about animals and archetypes. I don't remember the exact title,
She's
but
wonderful. I love her.
I love her too. So
Yeah.
we'll have Jennifer on animals, and then we'll have you on animals next Wednesday, so people can just trip on animals all week.
Too much fun. I'm just totally, it's just too much fun. This stuff is legal and it's so much fun.
Well, they say real learning drops dopamine, Catherine. You can
Yes,
actually
yes,
get high
yes.
off learning. So,
And you know what else does? Saffron. Do you like saffron?
oh yeah, sure.
Saffron rice, keep cooking it. It'll make you feel good legally.
All right. Well, is there anything else you
Thank
want to
you.
share?
I just want to thank the universe for being an astrologer for 60 years. It's just so much fun. And
Oh,
for being a psychologist and be able to blend them both. Wow.
yeah.
So lucky. And I'm so lucky to know you. And I love the name of this school. Why did you name it? Did you explain to people why you gave it the name?
Well, Moira is a ancient Greek word for fate, but it's the fate that we're here to partake in. So each degree of the chart is a Moira. So they say every time a transit hits your planets, you are here to partake in the fates of that degree.
Yes. And the three fates, who were depicted as female.
Hmm. It's a female fate?
It's a triple. Moira is one of them.
Oh, wow.
Right? And it's all about, so many women love working with yarn, right?
Yeah.
It's right. It's about the thread or the yarn. We've got the rolling out the yarn. right? One rolls out the yarn, the other decides how long it should be when it's cut,
Hmm.
and the third cuts it. And
Wow.
that's an analogy for fate.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to learn more from you at class. I learn something from you every time I talk to you. I know you're a real professor, so that's what we are so excited about. And yeah, all right. Well, we will look forward to next Wednesday. Thank you.
Same here.